Hello, good evening, and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to the grand finale of the competitive racing series. My name is Rosbreth, or Rob, and I'll be your commentator for tonight. And yes, the moment has finally come. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. The finale is up. The finale of the third season of this epic series. So far, it has been a great season all throughout. But let's have a little look first and foremost at the track that is coming up. And that is, of course, our favorite final track, that is Brazil. It's a brilliant track, 2 DRS zones, of course, plenty of brilliant corners and many overtaking opportunities, especially in the corners such as turn 1, 4, 10, 12 maybe if you're brave. So let's see where the drivers are going to try it. And of course, weather here is quite common to play a big factor. As you can see right there, the standings, and it is quite unbelievable to say the least. At the top of the standings especially, we have an extremely close fight between NLR and WR. They have been the main rivals of one another the entire season. WR had a sizable lead through the midway point of this season. However, NLR has been clawing back a lot of points, and now they are 1 point ahead in the standings, 390 to 389 NLR versus WR. However, that is not the only battle that is being fought out. It's also the battle for third place. There's a difference between the Playing Ducks and TTM of only 6 points. They are extremely closely matched as well. And then, of course, a bit further down, a battle for P5 between Team Shizou and CPI Esports. Only 12 points in between them. Then a battle for 7th between Artifacts Racing and ABS Racing Team. And technically the battle for 9th place, if either of the teams can bother showing up, are Race Concept Racing and Artemis Esports for P9. So, 16 drivers in as we speak, and frankly, both of the bottom racing teams are missing at the moment. Neither RCR drivers nor ART driver in. However, as I speak, one of the ART drivers has joined in, increasing the chances of that team outscoring the other team at the end of the run. So, 17 drivers in then. Zeteni for Artemis Esports in. As for the rest of the teams, for NLR, we've got Mathieu de Jesus, just like last week in Las Vegas. We've got Zach Miles once again winning last time out in America there for NLR. Then for WR, we've got once again Justin Arts and another familiar name for the team, Guti Balint. For CPI, we've got Vuk Gaika and Noé Grosjean. Then for the ABS team, we've got Eric Ruta and Chris. For Shizou, Mikhail Lutinsky and Eruption. For Playing Ducks, Pablo Alcoba and Corny. For, ATX, Matthew Bassett. First time out for that team there. And Carlson. Then for TTM, we've got Mizzy and Drake Dempsey. And I believe that only leaves me then, yeah, of course, ART with Zeteni. Frankly, it's a bit of a shame that neither RCR driver is in and one ART driver is missing. So we'll be ending this season with 17 drivers. Let's hope that the other 3 will be joining during qualifying, which means that I'll have to sit it out at the very least. Might be something more than that, but doesn't really matter though. The top of the standings is much more interesting. NLR versus WR, 1 point in between the both of them. And we are almost good to go. Let's see if all the settings of the lobby are right. I believe Park for May is apparently still on. It's supposed to be off apparently. And some assist restrictions still need to be updated properly. Apparently DRS assist is on. Just waiting for everything to be perfectly all right. And then the drivers can ready up and we'll be on our way for the grand finale. If you're here, if you can hear me, then make sure to spread the word about this race. It's going to be brilliant. Let's hope everything will be clean and epic all throughout. No unnecessary drama and stuff, because I would personally hate to see the championship being decided through penalties. So, there's the word to all the drivers. Keep it clean, keep it fair, but hard racing. All right. Looks like everybody is now properly readying up. And that means we'll be on our way in about a minute. Let's see what qualifying brings us. Let's see what the race brings us. Hopefully no qualifying penalties with drivers holding each other up according to the game. Because as we all know, the sprint qualifying on real life in Miami is coming up straight after this season conclusion. So you've got a whole evening of watching Formula One ahead of you if you're watching this and the sprint qualifying. You could hear the countdown timer beep thing going off right there, which means we're now officially underway. It's the time has come at long last to see who is going to win this championship. It's going to be WR, it's going to be NLR. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll also find out who's going to claim third, because the top 3 teams will receive the prize money that has been put in the prize pot for this season. Let's have a quick look at the prize pot actually. Let's see if I can find the prize pool then. For first place, you'll get €100 plus a full strategy package. Second place, €65, and third place, €35. So there's definitely something to gain right there. All right, so qualifying right here as we speak. It's currently going to remain dry all throughout qualifying, as well as the race. Some haze, some clouds potentially in the race as well. So all should be fine for the people that are out there on track right now. Really looking forward to see what's going to happen. And several drivers already eager to get underway. I believe Vuk Gaika for the CPI team is out first. Exit in the pit lane as we speak. Followed suit by one of the NLR drivers. They're also eager to get underway. It's in fact Zach Miles, last week's race winner. And he could also win the driver championship in this series. Although that is pretty insignificant compared to the team effort being put in by all of these drivers. We've seen many examples of excellent teamwork throughout the season by several teams. Actually, all of them have worked together really, really well. And therefore the fighting has been pretty hard at times. But I have to say, all in all, it was quite satisfying to watch all these drivers go around. I believe WR initially had Jeunet Dejean in as one of their drivers. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, and therefore Guti Balint is now in the second car alongside Justin Aerts, who put up a real good fight last week. He started somewhere in the midfield in qualifying on the grid, and then fought his way back up all the way there, trying to keep Zach Miles from winning the race, but it wasn't meant to be. Mathieu de Jesus also tried to put in his 2 cents for the team. Unfortunately, damage to the car hampered his progress, and he finished about P11, something like that, if I remember correctly. And since Jeunet is not racing, Zach Miles is already the driver's champion, so that's some pressure off his shoulders, although he probably doesn't really care. All he cares about now is making sure that WR doesn't outscore them by more than 1 point. Actually, they shouldn't outscore them at all, because even in the case of a tie, it means WR will still win. So, all NLR needs to do is to make sure WR doesn't outscore them in any possible way. Now, that's of course easier said than done. At the moment, we're watching Zach Miles having invalidated his lap, so we're switching to the second driver on his way. That is Vuk Gaika at the moment, right behind the Alfa Romeo of Zach Miles, heading through the middle sector, approaching turn 10. One of those places where you can be brave and try and overtake one of the Haas cars there, moving out of the way. Let's also find out if Zach Miles is going to go for another run straight away, or if he's going to get back in the pit lane, pick another set of tires, and there he goes. Back in the pit lane he goes. Vukaika though, keeping his car on the track across the line. First car to sell a lap time, 7.467. I also see both Haas cars approaching the line. That's Matthew Bassett, quite a lot faster, 7.2. And Drake Dempsey coming in third position. Next to cross the line, one of the WR cars, that's Justin Arts, who is starting his hot lap right there. This is Guti Balint also on an out lap. So both WR cars still taking it quite slow as they are approaching the line to start the lap. And Noé Grosjean then next across the line goes slower than his teammate, but only very little slower. Currently 5th fastest overall, 7.5. So let's watch who's going to cross the line next. I believe that was Pablo Alcoba for the Playing Ducks. Only P6. They will need better than that if they want to try and beat TTM. Of course, the TTM team had a lot of bad luck currently, though. Drake Dempsey, 2nd fastest on the front row for the time being. Looking quite strong out there. So, Mathieu de Jesus next to cross the line. Let's see where he's going to bring up his car. He's going to bring it up to P7 for the time being. Only a 1 minute 7.8. That is almost 6 tenths slower currently than provisional pole. It's definitely not enough. Justin Arts then, currently surprisingly on the medium tires. Trying to save out a set of softs. He's going to put his banker lap then on the yellow tires. Let's see where he's going to bring it. It's actually a 7.9. Quicker than Mikhail Lutinsky, who is 10th faster with an 8.0. That means the pressure is now on eruption for the Shizou team, who are trying to keep ahead of CPI for 5th in the standings. Right now CPI 4th and 5th looking quite strong, so let's see where Eruption can put it. Only 7th. Still slower than both McLarens at the moment. And Guti Balint is P11. Justin Arts P11 now as Guti Balint gets demoted to 12th. Chris X coming in 6th place for ABS with a 7.5. So most drivers now have set their lap time. You can see Zeteni retiring in the pit lane as he has to serve the qualifying ban for the ART team. He's once again the only driver out for the team, even though they had 2 drivers signed up. So bad news once again for the team last in the standings. You would think that when you sign up you will be able to find yourself some drivers who can make these times, but apparently ART has had no such situation. Anyway, first round of qualifying laps over as it stands. Matthew Bassett fastest. Unsurprisingly, we all know this man for being very quick. He's pipped Drake Dempsey for the time being on provisional pole. He's only 3/100ths, in fact 35 milliseconds behind to be precise. Then there's Eric Coutin, who has also done a great job. 3rd fastest for the time being, ahead of both CPI cars. Then Chris X, Carlson Eruption, Pablo Alcoba and Mathieu de Jesus. So let's see who's coming up next. I believe that is Mizi, the TTM's 2nd driver. They are watching Playing Ducks closely. They're only 6 points behind right now. Playing Ducks only 9th, and Corny hasn't yet set a lap time. However, Corny, we know him for being very quick. Pablo, though, also a quick driver. Right now sitting on the back foot, only 9th. But then again, that's only 4.5 tenths or a bit more than that between himself and provisional pole. Mizi, first sector, 16.8. Let's see if he can bring his car any closer to his teammate. They need it. They need to outscore the Playing Ducks by 7 points at the very least to guarantee that 3rd position in the standings. So they've got a lot to fight for. They've got a lot to lose. I'd say they will not take big risks in the race. Neither will WR or NLR, I'd say. Although they've got some feisty drivers in tonight. Both teams. Zach Miles currently on his way as well. Corny on a hot lap together with Mizi. Matthew Bassett, I believe, has just started his hot lap as well. With Mizi about to cross the line. They will switch over to the next car. That should be Corny. Mizi across the line. 5th fastest. Splits the CPI cars. And now both TTM cars are ahead of the Playing Ducks. However, Corny on his way. 16.6 through the first sector. I believe that's a bit slower than Mizi. However, middle sector, according to the game, is purple. And now all he has to do is go flat out. DRS open very soon. And then we'll find out how quick Corny is going to be around Brazil. Where is he going to bring this car then? All the way up to the top, in fact, and quite a lot faster than Matthew Bassett, who currently is still on his way. That is quite epic from Corny, a mighty lap, putting the Playing Ducks on top for the time being. Matthew Bassett currently only 6 milliseconds faster than his previous attempt, but he does get a big toe from his teammate Carlson, who is about to start his hot lap right there. Matthew Bassett using all the toe he can, but it's not enough. He only gained about 26 milliseconds on the main straight, thanks to the toe. And that means he stays second fastest, with Corny having set an almighty lap time. And we might see our first 1 minute 6 coming up very soon, with Erwin Couten already over a tenth quicker through the first sector. I believe Carlson is now, of course, on his way as well, having given Matthew Bassett a toe. Drake Dempsey just started his hot lap, second attempt there. Erwin Couten currently going through the middle sector. ABS, of course, fighting ATX for 7th in the standings. At the moment, one ATX driver is ahead of both the Mercedes cars. One of them is behind the both of them. Through the middle sector, though. Ooh, Couten lost a lot of time through the middle sector. Let's see if he can find something in the final bit of the track then. Or whether he is going to be dissatisfied with his attempt. And he is. He's realized he's lost too much. Carlson has abandoned his lap. He apparently wasn't satisfied either. So that means we're switching our attention to Drake Dempsey through the middle sector. More than a tenth up. It's not enough for a provisional pole. He needs much more. He needs over 3 tenths. So unless he finds something in these final few corners, a lot of time in fact, it's not going to be provisional pole, but it might be an improvement in position. There he goes, up to third now, beating Matthew Bassett and Zach Miles, and the meanwhile has gone faster as well. Now sitting on the front row, also a 1 minute 7.0. Mathieu de Jesus has gone back in. Justin Artden through the middle sector. He's done the first attempt on the medium tires. So now he's on the soft. First sector was a tenth quicker. Middle sector half a second quicker, meaning he's about to go well into the top 10. But still quite a lot slower than Zach Miles. But he will be quicker than Mathieu de Jesus. Across the line comes Justin Arts. Where's it going to be? P7, 1 minute 7.385. Just behind Erwin Couten, just ahead of Vuk Geika. Noé Grosjean, I believe, has just improved to 5th position. 1 minute 7.344, just barely quicker than Erwin Couten. And behind Matthew Bassett. Matthew, of course, sitting in 4th. Only marginally improved in his previous lap time. Now 3 drivers have become quicker than him, and all 3 have gone into the 1 minute 7.0. There's about half a tenth in between 1st and 3rd at the moment. It's quite epic to see. Mikhail Lutinsky now down to 9th place as Paulo Alcoba has done a massive improvement from his previous attempt. He's gone up to P5, now meaning that TTM is falling a bit further back. They were comfortably ahead a few minutes ago, and now the Playing Ducks are upping their game. Especially Paulo Alcoba, who had a pretty terrible first attempt, has definitely improved a lot. P6 for the time being. And then there's Guti Balint, interestingly, still slowest of the lot, and by quite a lot, I'd say. The only 1 minute 8 standing. And that is bad news for WR. The only saving grace they have is that Mathieu de Jesus is struggling as well at the moment. So we've got Justin Arts for WR and P9 only. That is also bad news, as Zach Miles is 2nd at the moment. So Justin and Guti need to find a lot of time to beat that. However, Justin started in the mid-pack as well last week. And that's where he was able to nearly claim the victory from. Because of all the chaos that he was able to avoid. He was fighting hard with Zach Miles, so we can already say Justin Arts' race pace is definitely faster than, better I'd say, than his qualifying pace. But I think he would have preferred a better qualifying position. However, it's not over yet. There's still some time remaining before we all know what the final grid of the season will be. The final grid of this epic finale. Carlson 13th fastest, fighting with ABS. ABS doing a good job at the moment of keeping ATX at bay. Only Matthew Bassett is faster than them, and Carlson has invalidated his lap, meaning he's gonna have to try again. Currently only sitting 13th, not good enough, only 1 millisecond faster than Eruption. Eruption himself on his way, not at the moment though, for a hot lap. And he's heading back into the pit lane, looks like. 4 minutes and 10 seconds remain then in this final qualifying session, with Mathieu de Jesus coming out once again for his third and final attempt, and this is the one that counts for real. Alain Coutin is 8th fastest at the moment. I think he's just started his hot lap, in fact, as he's going really quick. He'll be encountering Mathieu very soon. You'll find a lot of French drivers in tonight, with Hervé, Noé, of course Mathieu as well, Justin Arts, also French, Chris. The French are well represented in this series today. Alain Coutin, 8th fastest at the moment. Where can he find some extra time? He abandoned his previous attempt, he lost a lot in the middle sector. Let's see if he can be better than this time. 3 minutes and a bit remain. Zach Miles out as well. Both NLR drivers now out on track. Middle sector then. Look at that. That's a lot faster than his previous attempt. Well over 1/10 quicker than his first attempt. And his last proper chance to set a hot lap here on this track. Up to the line he goes. 5th fastest he is then. And that will be his best result if nobody else improves. Switching to the next car to start a hot lap, and that is Mathieu de Jesus. 15th fastest, second to slowest of the lot. Second to last, I should say. Make sure to answer the poll as well. Who takes the championship, NLR or WR? At the moment, it looks like NLR is slightly better in terms of qualifying, with Mathieu being 1 millisecond slower than his previous attempt in the first sector. However, it's the middle sector where you can gain or lose the most time, as it has the most corners of them all. There's of course the Senna S's in sector 1, turns 1, 2 and 3, where you can make up a lot of time, but in sector 2 there's many more corners, 8 corners in fact, through turns 4 through turn 11. There goes Mathieu. There is Zach Miles going to give him a tow. That's very nice teamwork once again by NLR. 3.5 tenths up through the middle sector. That is promising for Mathieu, but it should just barely bring him to the middle bit of the pack. Getting an excellent tow right there, and look at that, 7th fastest. That is quite a lot of time he gained thanks to the tow. Otherwise he would have been a bit slower. So 7th is going to be the best result. Matthew Bassett started his hot lap as well. Many drivers are about to start their hot lap right now. Zach Miles is on his way. He's given his teammate a tow, and now 8 milliseconds faster through sector 1. Looks like the teamwork has been executed perfectly. 1 minute remains in this final qualifying session of the season, and this game as well, for me as a commentator too. The final race I commentate on the F1 23 game. Zach Miles approaching turn 10, and a lot of traffic potentially. One of the ATX cars ahead going slow. Matthew though able to, Zach able to negotiate his way through perfectly. 73 milliseconds quicker. That is going to be provisional pole for sure. If he keeps it up like this. He looked a little bit wobbly coming out of the 12th turn. Or 12th corner I should say. But across the line, is he going to be win at 6? It is not. It's in fact a lot slower through the final sector, and Zach Miles will not be starting on pole position. So what's that going to mean then for the rest of the field? We're trying to find the next driver who's about to cross the line. It's not Mikhail Lutinsky, it's Eruption actually. Over a 10th up through the middle sector. That is not going to bring him a top 10, and off he goes. In fact, it's not going to bring him anything at all as he spins off out of turn 12. Disaster then for Eruption. We see both WR cars pass. The first of them is Justin Arts. Overcut Chris P5, P6. Justin Arts only can improve to P8. That's not good enough. Even if overtaking is easier, Noé Grosjean has invalidated, stays 10th fastest. Next to cross the line is Misi, improves to P11. I believe Corney's about to cross the line. He is the driver to go into the 1:06. And there he goes, strengthening his provisional pole position. Drake Dempsey stays 4th fastest. Who's still on his way? Mikhail Lutinsky, I believe, still going for a hot lap. He improves, but not in position, stays 12th. Let's see, Matthew Bassett has improved, but he's still not on pole position. So he'll be very unhappy about that for sure. So all in all, Corney has definitely put together an excellent lap. He will take provisional pole for this final session in the year. Or I should say in the game, because the year is still a long way from completion. Zach Miles is also heading back into the pit lane or across the line to make things go quicker. He's heading in. And I'd say nobody else is currently trying to improve. There's Vugaika staying 13th fastest. But it does confirm then, Corney on pole position. That is the best place they could be to defeat TTM once and for all. They're already ahead by 6 points. And his nearest rival, it starts from the second row in P4. Then his teammate in 9th and his other rival Mizzy in 11th. As for the title contenders, Zach Miles in 3rd for NLR. And then his teammate Mathieu in 7th. Both NLR drivers have out-qualified WR. Justin Arts in P8 and Guti Balint only in 16th and last of the qualifiers. It is not good enough. And it makes you wonder, should they have gotten another driver in? Because that's kind of the pace that Guti has shown throughout the series. At least in terms of qualifying. Right, there we go. Confirmation of pole position for Corney for the Playing Ducks. Well done. Matthew Bassett slots in 2nd on the front row for ATX. Good news for them, trying to beat ABS. Then Zach Miles in 3rd on the 2nd row alongside Drake Dempsey. Overcut and Chris X for ABS in the 3rd row. 4th row for Mathieu de Jesus and Justin Arts. Then Pablo Alcoba, Noé Grosjean on row 5. Row 6 is for Misi Mikhail Lutinsky. Then the 7th row for Gaika and Carlson. Then the 8th row for Eruption and Guti Balint. And of course, starting from the back alongside his countryman is Zeteni. Now we're going to find out the real thing. First and foremost, of course, this is going to be a tentative start as we had a qualifying penalty. That means the lobby has to be restarted, meaning that the drivers will retire, hopefully straight away. But we might see some interesting incidents happen. So keep in mind, this is not the official race start coming up. Justin Arts disappointed in Discord, saying he saved the set for nothing, since the lobby has to be restarted. That's a shame. It's always a risk, trying to save a set. Other than that, the good news, of course, for Justin is also that his medium set he's used will also be fresh. There we go. 5 red lights, and there goes the tentative start. We see some drive-through penalties, of course, coming up as well. Drivers retiring on the line as 2. That is good news, and others are going to crash. There we go, one of the Haas cars getting pummeled by an ABS car. Safety car is out straight away. A lot of chaos everywhere. With Noé Grosjean trying to take out everybody. All he takes out is the front wing of Mikhail Lutinsky. And there goes one of the Red Bulls, having been disqualified already. Or retired at the very least. Some chaos in the background. Mikhail Lutinsky continues on. Retires then. And then only Zach Miles and Carlson remain. And Zach Miles especially looking very swerve happy, colliding with Carlson as well. Just a little bit of fun before the serious games begin. Into the wall he goes, whoa! Going airborne, and he's still alive. As he crashed with the front of the car, not with the wheel, and there he goes. A little tap against the wall and the wheel goes off straight away. And now the real deal begins. The time has come for the grand finale to happen. once again, make sure to tell your friends this is the show to watch tonight. It's gonna be a cracker. I've got a good feeling about this one. And all the racing this season has been epic already, so I think my feeling might be right. Right, as the grid will be reformed, that will allow me to refill my glass of water. And then I'll be back with you in about 2, hopefully no more than 3 minutes. And we're back. The countdown has begun, the grid has been set, and I'll show you the standings one last time before things will happen for real. NLR leading WR by 1 point, and this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The race is about to start. NLR is currently in a better position qualifying wise than WR, on average at least. Zach Miles starting from 3rd. And then there's of course Justin Aert starting from 8th. That is WR's best qualifying position in this race. The other two drivers, actually Mathieu de Jesus is starting in 7th. That means of course both NLR drivers faster than all of WR. Goodyear Balint on the back foot. A CPI, from the top of my head, one of the drivers starting somewhere 6th, 7th, 8th, and the other driver starting somewhere in the midfield. 10th and 13th, thank you for confirming there. So in the midfield then for CPI, and don't forget they are fighting Team Shizou for P5, 12 points in between them, so every single team on this track has something worth fighting for. Even ART, with only one driver, if they score more than 16 points, they will outscore RCR in the standings and claim 9th place, as you can see. Anyway, here we are. It's going to be a dry race all throughout, as we already knew. And as opposed to another league I commentate in, this series does follow the original weather prediction. And of course both rules have their up and down sides. Not ideal, according to Admire, the qualifying positions for CPI. Although I can tell you that Shizou isn't doing that much better in terms of qualifying. Let's see if I can quickly find that screenshot again. As Team Shizou starts from 12th and 15th. So all in all, CPI doing better than their rivals, and they need to score more than 12 points than Team Shizou for that 5th position in the standings. Of course, no prizes for P5, only for the top 3. And that means NLR, WR, Playing Ducks and TTM are all fighting for one of those positions. WR and NLR for the win. And then of course Playing Ducks and TTM for 3rd, with Playing Ducks having the edge with 6 points to TTM. Yep, let's find out if Vugaika does have that hella race pace, according to you, Admire. So let's find out. With 17 drivers on the grid, RCR is completely absent, so they are vulnerable to ART. Although, to be fair, only one car for ART, starting from last due to a qualifying ban. Only 2 positions of the points though. So anything is still possible for any of these 10 teams to get a better position than they have at the moment. Waiting for the grid to ready up, get their car setups done, find out the best tire strategy. I think every thinkable strategy is possible as long as it's a one-stop. Medium to soft or vice versa, or medium to hard or vice versa. All look pretty attractive depending on your driving style and preferences. Looks like drivers are waiting for another to ready up to make sure everybody gets enough time to get their things set up. Of course, fuel is also another thing to keep in mind. As for individual drivers, already confirmed Zach Miles as the driver's champion for this season. There is a prize for that, I believe. There is a full setup package to the winner. But that is, I think, not very useful anymore, as this game is coming to an end. By the end of this month, we'll all be playing the next game in this series, F1 24. And there we go then, it's about to get underway with Corny from pole position, Matthew Bassett alongside. The race has officially started right now with 36 laps coming up, and it looks like Matthew is off to a good start, but Corny is gonna better start. Zach Miles was trying to have a look around the outside. Matthew getting pushed a bit onto the curbs by Corny there as he retains the lead. Drake Dempsey fighting with Eric Coutin. Mathieu de Jesus made up a position already from P7 up to 6th. Pablo Acolba fighting with Chris X just sinking through the field, and Zach Miles taking the lead, overtaking the both of them. Matthew Bassett stays in 2nd, but Corny losing the most positions in the top 3, slipping down to P3 right there as Eric Content tries to close the gap. Mathieu de Jesus and Drake Dempsey fighting for position as well, and there's a yellow flag as 2 cars go out of the race. That's Carlson and Vuk Gaika. The man who started from 10th having a disaster there. The car from Carlson is completely destroyed, as you saw in the background. A virtual safety car has come out as well. That is absolutely terrible news for the driver for CPI. All he can hope now is that the damage is limited, at least from a visual standpoint. The car is fine, but Carlson is out. Zetanina up to P15. Guti Balint gaining another position. Shouldn't be happening, of course, since a virtual safety car. Guti currently in 13th. Justin has made up positions as well. We're just waiting for the race to get back underway. It hasn't happened on the main straight. We see Chrisix in. He's probably gotten some damage. Explains why he's been sinking through the field. Looks like drivers are trying to keep on each other's toes, readying themselves for whenever the green flag hits the track, and then the race is back underway. Still virtual safety car. Justin Arts especially is very ready to take positions. He's now just taken a position from Drake Dempsey at the moment the flag goes green. A perfect restart then for the WR driver, also allowing us to see what the tires are. Many drivers, actually, surprisingly many, have started on the softs. A few on the hards and even less on the mediums. Paulo Alcoba with Misi then for P7. Two rival teams fighting, and there's Noé Grosjean trying to get into the battle as well for 7th place. Drake Dempsey just a little bit ahead, but this group is falling back from the top 7 already. Misi's doing all he can to stay ahead of the drivers behind. Zach Miles on the soft tires has created a gap of more than a second already to Matthew Bassett and Cordy. And there's Eric Coutin trying to take a position, but not only here, there's 3 wide at the moment. Corny losing more and more positions on those hards. But he'll be having to play the long game. He's still ahead of his rivals, and that is what counts, I'm sure. The race win isn't really in his mind, I think. There's a lot of fighting going on here in the midfield as well. Many cars side by side. DRS has been enabled. We can there see Misi defending from Noé Grosjean, for example. Doing still so successfully. 2 drivers behind on the softs. We see Eric Coutin. Whoa, on the inside, and he gets tapped there by Matthew Bassett. He'll not be happy about that one, although it was a bit of a half-hearted move, and Matthew might have not properly seen him there. If Erwin really wanted to go for the move, he should have been a bit more further alongside Matthew. So Matthew probably had the right there to defend. But then again, I'm not a steward, so I wouldn't know. And we now have this situation of NLR on top indeed, Victor. Both have started on the soft. They've gone for an aggressive strategy, and it's working out quite well. WR has gone for a much milder strategy, although Justin Arts is quite on it. Taking P5 from Corny. Corny sinking through the field even more. Guti Balindo started on the softs as well, and he's making a lot of progress too. Just like his teammate and the other soft tire users. There goes Guti now on Misi. We see Matthew Bassett attacking actually Mathieu de Jesus, and Mathieu getting pushed wide. There goes Eric Coutin through as well. Mathieu now pushed down to 4th place. Aaron really wanted to get past there for ABS. They need a lot more points than ATX. Right now he's behind his position rival for the standings. A lot of rivalry going on right now. You can see it in the racing. It's very hard. It's very aggressive at the moment. Matthew Bassett and Eric Coutin now splitting both NLR cars. They cannot work together right now. And Zach Miles is trying to increase his gap as much as possible. Corny, the man from pole position, are getting hounded by Drake Dempsey as well. His qualifying pace was good. His race pace at the moment, not as much. There goes Eric Coutin, 3 wide potentially through turn 1. Mathieu de Jesus getting back ahead of the both of them. Well done, Mathieu. There, an epic move in turn 1. And retaking 2nd place. There goes Matthew Bassett on Eric Coutin. Although it looks like both of them are going to come back at Mathieu de Jesus. But Mathieu really doesn't want both of them to get past. Another tap there between 2 drivers. And Matthew is backing out once again. It nearly goes horribly wrong for both of them. Justin Arts slotting in as well in the mediums. The fighting for 2nd place being incredibly close. That is good news for Zach Miles, who can try and extend his advantage. Although Erwin is definitely keeping on the pressure. Sitting in 2nd at the moment, creating a bit of a gap between himself and Mathieu. So far the battling has been very hard indeed. Guti Balindo now has got a 1.3 second gap to cover to the next group. And then he'll be able to get himself involved in the battle for 2nd as well. It's what WR needs. They need both drivers to be extremely quick and extremely decisive. The more positions they gain right now, the better. Zetani gaining a position on Vuk Gaika. Maybe Vuk does have some damage then. This is race pace at the moment. Really isn't there just yet. Zetani looking pretty fast there compared to Vuk. Now it looks like things are calming down a little bit. We've had a lot of fighting so far between these guys especially. Matthew Bassett on the hards is doing well to keep up with the soft tire users, and that is promising pace for later down the line. And bad news potentially for NLR. Because with Zach Miles in first, they're definitely safe from WR. There's Justin Arts. You can see one of his rivals ahead. He's within striking distance. There goes Eruption on Noe Grosjean, but Noe sticks it still on the inside, coming up to turn 12. Wisely decides to back out of it. Slotting back in behind Eruption. Eruption barely hanging on to DRS, to the car ahead, I believe. And Matthew Bassett going for a move on. Whoa, Mathieu de Jesus. Terrible camera angles from the game. We can't really see what's going on, unfortunately. Matthew Bassett, I believe, is still alongside. Yes, there he goes. He's gonna have to go around the outside. And there goes Noe Grosjean. Another CPI driver with bad luck. And Matthew Bassett does get ahead once again of Mathieu de Jesus. Mathieu trying to re-attack, but not effectively enough. And CPI in an even worse position right now. It's not going well for the McLarens. Misi back ahead of Guti Balint as the soft tires slowly drop off. Erwin Kuten going really wide out of turn 7. Definitely a track limit warning for him there. He can't use that. The racing is close. And if you get a 3-second time penalty here, you might be screwed completely. At the moment, the people fighting for second are increasing their gap to the people fighting for 8th. That is Misi leading that group right now, with Guti Balint following suit. However, he's losing a lot of time at the moment, and the Eruption is closing in fast. But it looks like Corny is the next car to attack. He's going to go for it on Justin Arts. Justin really doesn't want that. His mediums still should be faster. Matthew Bassett on the attack as well, I believe, in turn 1. He stays behind Erwin Kuta. And it looks like Matthew's going to be able to cover this move quite easily. Erwin doesn't really have to defend here, as he knows that Matthew's going to be quicker. Especially now that his tires slowly drop off. Justin Arts barely hanging on to P5. Corny in 6th. Mizzy right behind one of his rivals for 3rd place. And at the moment, you're absolutely right, Nivio. It's not looking good for WR. They've already been overtaken in the standings by NLR by just 1 point after last race. And Justin Arts, look at that, he's right behind Mathieu de Jesus right now. He needs to pass him to make the situation slightly better, but still not good enough. Zach Miles is still leading, but Matthew is starting to close the gap. 2.2 seconds was the biggest I've seen it so far on the timing screen. And it's shrinking as we speak. And he's taking everybody alongside with him. And there goes Corny, really attacking now Justin Arts. And Justin has to back out of that move. He has to yield as Pablo Acoba, another playing duck car, overtakes Eruption for P10. Eruption tried to come back at the inside as Pablo Acoba went quite wide in turn 1. But I think another fight here is coming up as Corny now also passes Mathieu de Jesus. Or is he? Yes, he is. On the inside in turn 4 and past he goes. The man who started from pole is now trying to come back to the top 3. Which currently consists of Zach Miles, Matthew Bassett, Erwin Coutin. Mikhail Tinsky overtaking his teammate. They swap positions for Jesus. They are trying to fight CPI, and at the moment they're winning. Now the question is, can WR do something in terms of strategy then? As Justin is now struggling to keep Drake Dempsey behind. You would say it can't get much worse. Guti Balint is also struggling. So generally, WR in the mud. Although we have an optimist in the chat, it seems. And as I said that Justin was struggling, we see now Mathieu going a bit too wide in turn 1, allowing Justin Arts to attack his main title rival. There they go, then potentially might be going side by side in turn 4. Justin has to attack right here. He's gonna go for it in turn 4. He's got the inside line. More grip at the moment on the medians, but Mathieu is definitely not backing out that easily. They get pushed off almost off the track, but Justin Arts gets ahead in P5, now chasing down the Williams of Corny. Now at least one WR car is ahead of an NLR car. But Zach Miles is still comfortably leading. He's got nobody behind him in DRS. And his soft tires are still doing reasonably well, because he hasn't been in the dirty air for that much, allowing the tires to stay relatively cool compared to the rest. So he might just have that tiny bit more grip. Matthew is still closing the gap. Now second, 1.5 seconds away. Is Corny gonna go on another attack then? He lost pole position in lap 1 because most tires behind him and around him started on the softs, and there goes Eric Catan on Matthew Bassett. Despite his old soft tires, he decides to go for it anyway. As we all know, these two teams are also fighting for 7th in the standings, and now Matthew Bassett would really like to repass the Frenchman. Coming up to turn 4, is it going to be good enough? It is good enough. An assault well done, and another swap of position between these two drivers. And that allows Zach Miles to stay ahead a little bit longer than the rest would have liked. Mathieu de Jesus is trying to get back at Drake Dempsey. He's now demoted to 7th place. And the light at the end of the tunnel for WR might be coming right here. Justin Aert doing all he can despite his mediums potentially starting to become slower than the hards. You can notice it through the corners especially, and it also looks like Justin has got that setup that allows more straight line speed, as he is a bit slower than the cars buying through the middle sector, but at the final part of the track and the back straight, it just makes up a lot of time. There goes Eric Catan once again on Matthew Bassett, most likely only to re-overtake him then in turn 4. As he gets a much better run due to more grip on the hard tires. Look at that. Despite his battery light flashing, he easily retakes the position. I think they're actually working together to close the gap to Zach, but it's really not working because the gap is still at 1.3 seconds coming out of turn 4. So all in all, well, the toe is not enough between these two. No matter how much they try. Looking a bit further back, Drake Dempsey still fighting Justin Aert. Justin himself still fighting Corny, trying to get into the top 4. He's already beaten one in the LR car. You can still see the other one getting closer and closer. The gap through the final corner, proper corner I'd say, now down to 1.3. What's Eric Catan going to do? Matthew's battery light still flashing. Eric Catan going for it in turn 1. Matthew letting him through. Then getting a better exit out of turn 3. It's rinse and repeat for these two. And the others are following suit. Paolo Alcoba then on Guti Balint. Guti now dropped down to 11th. It's not going well then for him. And there goes Matthew once again on the Mercedes in 2nd place now. Although Aaron could get a much better run. Look at that, out of turns 4 and 5. Oh, sorry, Aaron had. Despite his slippier tires. We should see the first round of pit stops coming up very soon. I'd say around lap 16 for those on the softs. 18 for the mediums and 20 for the hards potentially. Although I could be wrong. I think those on the hards could probably go for the soft tires. Those on the mediums might go for it as well. Don't think many drivers would want to go on the hards for the second stint, because that would slow them down considerably. I think we saw a move coming up right there, right as I switched away. Eric Catan, for example. Corny also now going in on the attack. He doesn't really care about the working together. Justin Aert and Drake Dempsey side by side in turn 1. And Justin losing out then to the Red Bull. And now he's once again in the crossfire of his rival. Mathieu de Jesus right behind. Frenchman versus Frenchman right there. For different teams. And the gap is still about 1.3, 1.4 seconds to Zach Miles. Zach, it looks like, is just controlling the pace. And he might just make it 2 wins in a row for his team. Confirming that they are becoming the champions tonight. But there's still more than half of the race to go. Anything can still change. Disaster could strike them at any moment. And I hope I haven't just jinxed it. Although the guys in WR probably do hope that I've jinxed it. And they all know that I'm good at it. Although the gap still remains stable. Quite impressive driving so far by Zach Miles. I wonder when he's going to come in. Stays out as we approach and start lap 15 right here. Corny now going into second place. And Matthew trying to get past as well. But he has to fight for it. Eric Catena down to fourth. We see Mathieu de Jesus bailing out first. He's going to go for an undercut. Quite early, I'd say. Especially for going on the medium tires. He now has to keep those tires alive for 21 laps. Or 22 actually. Including this one. That is a long run on the mediums. But this is his moment to undercut his rivals. And maybe gain a 1-2 for NLR. And right now, thanks to Corny, the gap between the race leader and the cars behind has become lower, or less I should say, than 1 second. So they've now given chase and have opened the hunt to the race leader. So I wonder what Zach Miles is going to do. He probably already knows that his teammate has come in and is attempting an undercut on this entire group. Is Zach Miles going to join him? He isn't, he's staying out. Going for fresher tires than his teammates. His pace is still there. But he has noticed probably that the rest behind him has DRS already. Corny keeping out quite easily right now. With the DRS especially. A bit further back, 4.6 seconds in fact. It's Mikhail Lutinsky against Mizi. Mizi getting a better run out of turn 3. Is he gonna go for a move? He isn't. Gaika pitting as well now for a fresh set of tires. Let's see what he's going to take. Mediums as well. If you just tuned in, no weather changes to be expected. It's going to be dry all throughout. NLR is looking good. WR not so much. And it would be quite the bummer for them if they lost the championship here. They've had a sizable lead through the midway point of the season. That would mean they've thrown it all away by the end. Eric Tank going in, and so does our race leader Zach Miles. He's coming in for his pit stop right now at the start of lap 17. That means now Corny leading the race. And these four now have to fight it out together to see what they can do about the undercut from both Alfa Romeos. We can see Mathieu de Jesus coming up right now in turn 1. And let's see if he can overtake his teammate right there. He is barely doing it. Look at that! That, I think, is a perfectly executed team strategy. They almost literally rejoin side by side. And now Mathieu is just ahead, and I don't think it will take long for him to let Zach Miles get past, as he's got fresher tires, but for now they can tow one another along. And that's really stamped their domination on this track. It all depends on how well these four will be doing. They'll have to go around a bit more to switch to whichever tires. I wouldn't be surprised if the top 3 right now will go for the softs later down the line. Justin might do the same thing, but that means they'll have to go a bit longer than this. At least, I'd say 2 more laps to make sure those tires stay alive by the end of the race. As Mizi gets Mikhail Lutinsky behind him. Lutinsky's teammate Eruption going for a pit stop. Noé Grosjean as well. Shizou versus CPI, 12 points for P5. As Shizou has got the edge over the McLarens at the moment in the standings. But Shizou, I've got this in the back at the moment, with the CPI having a horrible race tonight. Not going great for them. But look at the top 4, they're so close together. Drake Dempsey is nearly going for a move on Matthew in turn 9. That's not a place you often see overtakes. He's starting to get impatient. He wants the other drivers to get a move on. If they fight hard now, they will lose even more time to the approaching NLR drivers. They are currently in turn 9. They've got Chrisix right behind them. on... oh, sorry, that's Ulrich Rutan, I should say. On fresher mediums than Mathieu. He's pitted on the same lap as Zach Miles. And the top 4 continue on. Justin Aerts as well. As Matthew goes for the overtake on Corny. They're using each other's toe as much as possible to reduce the undercut as much as they can. Means he still keeps Mikhail Latinsky behind at the moment. And it looks like Ulrich Rutan could become an annoying player for the NLR drivers, as Mathieu de Jesus actually had to go defensive. Ulrich Rutan trying to do an overtake on one of the NLR drivers. They do all they can to work together. Ulrich Rutan has got nothing to do with that. Mathieu though staying ahead for the time being. But if they go into fight mode, it might cost them time. I'm not sure what Ulrich Rutan's plan is, but he might throw a spanner in the works, or he'll cooperate with both NLR drivers to undercut the rest of the field. aka the top 4. Noah Grosjean then getting a 3-second time penalty. Now both CPI drivers got a time penalty. It can't get much worse than this for them. Zach Miles now driving away from Mathieu de Jesus. Mathieu potentially left vulnerable. And Drake Dempsey from the top 4, the first to bail out on the hard tires. Where is he going to go to? He is switching to the mediums, interestingly. He's not going to go for the softs. He's not going aggressive. All he needs to do is outscore the Playing Ducks by 7 points to claim 3rd. We'll see another Playing Duck there coming in, Paulo Alcoba. But he's very far away from Drake Dempsey. Drake is now coming back out well behind both NLR cars and Ulrich Rutan. However, his tires are much fresher. But it's the same compound, so not that big of a time advantage for the time being. Until the other tires drop below 25% wear, or above I should say, above 25% wear. We're in lap 20, I think the top 3 will be coming in very soon. Switching to the softs most likely. I think by this point it's their only option. Otherwise the pace advantage will be too minimal. 2 of them coming in at least. Interestingly, Justin Aerts on the at the moment slowest tires continues on. He's gonna go risky, he's gonna go all or nothing. Let's see what these 2 are going to do then. Which tires are they going to take? The Haas car switching to this, the mediums actually, interestingly. And so does Corny. So no risk for them. They're playing it safe. They know that the soft tires by the end of the race will be too slow. I wonder if Justin Aerts is thinking the same. He's like, I've got not much to lose anymore. All I can do right now is go aggressive. Let's see if he actually does that. It would be brilliant to see if Justin Aerts goes for the soft tires. 11.5 seconds between himself and Zach Miles. The net race leader, Mathieu de Jesus, still hanging on, just barely from Ulrich Rutan. Drake Dempsey on much fresher medium tires, trying to close that gap. 3.8 seconds and going down through the corners quite quickly. Look at that. It's what he needs to stay ahead of Corny. Corny has pitted 1 lap later. It's 3 seconds behind the TTM driver. That's not what I want. I do not know from the top of my head which position pays how many points. There goes Justin. He does go to the softs. It is indeed an all or nothing risk strategy. But he's got an almighty gap to cover. He gets overtaken by Drake Dempsey as well, potentially by his teammate Guti Balint. Will Guti help him out then? He does get fall behind quite a lot. He actually falls down to 8th place. And the gap to the leader is, well, let's see, 8.9 seconds. And 9 seconds we could say to the race leader. That is quite the sizable gap to cover. But he's got much faster tires for now. And NLR has done what they set out to do. Claim a 1-2 by strategy. But they do have a guest in their midst. And they can, that guest could soon literally be in their midst. if Macho keeps struggling to keep up with his teammate. Urban is hounding me all over the place, trying to force him into a mistake. In the meanwhile, Drake Dempsey is closing the gap rapidly. Matthews trying to follow suit. 2.3 seconds to Drake. Corny behind him. Guti Balint and then Justin Arts. What is WR going to do? Guti Balint is towing his teammate along. They will most likely swap positions very quick. Corny now with the fastest lap. We've got a yellow flag as Gaika goes off in turn 12. No big things though. Zatani now with the fastest lap. He's also gone for the softs just like Measy. There goes Justin Arts. Guti Balint lets him past. And now Guti's going to try and stick with him. Let's actually turn on the gap to the leader at the moment. That is much more interesting. The gap's going on quick. And there goes Overcontent on Macho de Jesus. This could be the saving grace for WR as well. As Erwin has got nothing to do with the cooperation. He wants to get in the midst, literally, and he does so. And crucially, gets Zach Miles' teammate out of DRS. Macho will not be very happy with this one. Justin and Guti might be. Guti though, not able to stay up with his teammate. Justin Arts now within 7 seconds of the race leader. And he's still rapidly closing the gap. He's now making his way up to Corny. He'll likely set the fastest lap of the race. There he goes, an additional point for him. But do keep in mind, Corny does get 2 extra points for the pole position. At the moment, NLR's got this in the bag quite easily. They do have an unfortunate guest in their middle. Drake Dempsey is knocking on their door as well. Matthew might play a role in it as well. Corny staying with him. He might also play a role. Justin Arts will gain some more time through the middle sector. 6.6 seconds and counting. 6.3. Look at how quick it goes then through turn 9 especially. But he'll soon be encountering some competition. Corny and Justin Arts are not going to let him pass that easily. Unless they've struck a secret deal, which I find unlikely. There goes Drake Dempsey on Macho de Jesus. Look, Gaika is out. He's crashed and there's a safety car! A safety car! And immediately, 3 drivers come into the pit. Matthew, Corny and crucially, Justin Arts. And Guti Balint, both WR cars and all the drivers behind come in. This is a nightmare situation for NLR, but fortunately for them, the safety car hasn't exited the pit lane, and that means they too can pit. But the field will be bunched up and their strategy might be thrown out of the window right here. Had the safety car been any quicker, then NLR would have been truly in the mud. This completely reignites the race. It looked NLR had it under control, even with Eric Coutin and Drake Dempsey in between them. In the meanwhile, yeah, you're right, where did Zach go? He's lost the lead to Eric Coutin. That's even worse for them. Every time you think, this is the thing in this series, every time you think a team has got it covered, they get something thrown their way that they just don't want. And right now, that's a safety car caused by Vuk Gaika's crash. I am not sure what happened with Vuk. Yeah, actually, that's my fault, isn't it? I jinxed it. I knew I would. I knew I would jinx it. Either way, it's also here a thing then, a double stack for NLR. Shouldn't harm them too much as the other drivers are still far away. Although, there is Justin Arts. Can he get ahead at least of Macho? He does. The worst case scenario for NLR has gotten even worse. Much worse in fact, in that Zach Miles has been demoted to 3rd place right now as Matthew Bassett is ahead. And we know Matthew for being very quick as well. They've raced together in WRPC Tier 3 last season. Matthew has been promoted to Tier 2. Zach hasn't. And that is saying something about the difference in race pace, I think. However, Zach Miles had it under control in this race. So nothing has been confirmed yet. But as we speak, Zach Miles in 3rd, Justin in P6, Mathieu in 7th and Guti in 9th. Guti though has appeared to be struggling in race pace. So I'm not sure how big of a role he can play in this race to come. You can still see Mathieu de Jesus, but he will still have to overtake Eruption first. And Eruption is fighting CPI, and they would like to keep these positions. Speaking of CPI, you can see at least one of the rival cars ahead. Ludwig Grosjean right behind Mikhail Lutinsky, but with a 3-second time penalty, I think. Let's have a look. Same goes for Eruption. And that is bad news for Shizou. It's also bad news for CPI. One driver out, one with a time penalty. And Noé Grosjean says, to hell with it. I'm gonna go for the freshest tires of everybody. Zatteni then gets track position over the McLaren. Goes up to 13th for ART. But that will not be enough to overtake RCR in the standings. P13 is certainly not going to grant him 17 points. That I know for sure. We're also waiting for Chris X to catch back up. It will be a blessing for him, as they're having a hard time trying to stay ahead of ATX now. Although Erwin is doing a good job. I actually scratch what I just said about ABS struggling. One ATX car is out. The other one is behind an ABS car. But they'll need a lot of points to overtake them. That is actually 24 points in between ATX and ABS, with the advantage to Artifacts. As we speak, it's not going to be enough to take 7th place from ATX for ABS. So because of all these fights between teams, every single team is fighting for at least one position. The fighting has been really hard at the moment. Safety car staying out for another lap then, which means we'll have a 8-lap shootout pretty much. A tiny sprint, you could say. Kreisig is nearly there. Of course, he's not driving too fast to make sure his tires don't wear off too much. But he'll be able to catch up to the field quickly now. There, you can see the last car there in the safety car line going through turn 3. And now we've got the biggest ABS sandwich of the season. One in first, one in last. 2 retirements. Actually both of them on track. Interestingly, it's also both cars that came together in lap 1. But Carlson was out on the spot. Vugaiga continued on and then crashed out by himself a few laps ago. Not sure how, but he's out. And now 15 drivers remain, all of them then in the points, as P1 through P15 grants you points in the series, don't forget. There's also 17 minutes remaining until the sprint qualifying starts in real life. But we should be able to finish in time. It might be that the interviews will become very short. That is something we haven't taken into account. Right, safety car in this lap. Let's see what Urikatan can do from those eager drivers behind. I'd say the eager out of all of them, the most eager, is Justin Arts. You can see Zach Miles ahead, Mathieu de Jesus behind. So he'll have to do everything in his power to gain as many positions as possible right now. That would be most ideal. Eric 10 is waiting until the last moment to go. But go he does, as they come across the line, but he's been a bit sleepy, especially Matthew Bassett. He has to defend hard from Zach Miles. He tries to go around the outside in turn 1. He stays on the inside in turn 2. There's some front wing pieces flying, I believe. That is Drake Dempsey going off, and Justin Arts just swooshing past right there, but now banging wheels with Zach Miles, the two title rivals, side by side in turn 4. It's Justin Arts on the outside, Zach Miles having nothing of it, and he stays ahead. It's Justin Arts in a terrible position. He's in an NLR sandwich. We see a bit of a moment there. I think Drake Dempsey's being punted off the track, and Guti Balind is with him. Guti Balind and Drake Dempsey punted off. Now the nightmare has turned for WR. This is bad news indeed. The only saving grace that the safety cars come out again, and that will make our interview time even shorter than it already was. The balance of fate is switching back and forth in between NLR and WR right now. It is still advantage NLR, with Guti Balind very far behind without a front wing. And also nightmare for TTM. Although I just see that Pablo Alcoba is coming in as well. But both TTM cars are in, and with Corny in third, Playing Ducks have got the third place under control. But then again, nothing is certain. You can certainly see that. And interestingly, look at ART's Zetani. He's in 8th, and I'm not sure how many points P8 grants, but if it's 17 or more, they might have just claimed P9. Drake is out in the pit lane. He's given up. He's realized that this is futile right now unless Corny gets taken out. Measy then is the only car remaining. I think Drake just should have stayed in the race, because while this has happened to him, it could also happen to Corny when the race restarts. That's a bit of a shame. I mean, it's only 7 points between them. Or actually, that's what TTM should score more than PD. With Measy now in 13th and with fresh mediums for some reason. Drake is very unhappy in the Discord at the moment, understandably so. I do not know who rear-ended him. All I know is that I saw it happen. The Guti Balind will be liking this even less. Where's he gonna go from here? The only advantage he has is the freshest tires of the field alongside Pablo Alcoba and Measy. But Measy's on the mediums. Looks like TTM has thrown in the towel pretty much. With Corny in third, Pablo is ahead of Measy on faster tires. You don't want to see that as a team who's been trying to take third back. So now we'll have a 5-lap shootout. A proper open lobby, typical thing with 5 laps. Hopefully it will not be the race pace or race quality of an open lobby. Because we all know, and I can tell you from personal experience, that's quite terrible. It's 99% of the drivers doesn't know how to drive anymore, unfortunately. So then, we'll soon see the announcement. Safety car in this lap, and then it's going to be the epic finale. This man is probably really nervous. He's got 2 NLR drivers around him, and his teammate is last of those remaining, but still in the points. At the moment though, it's not good enough for WR to reclaim first place, with NLR cars in a much better position. WR needs a miracle. They nearly got it on the first safety car, it's gotten worse now with Guti Blind fallen back. He was gaining positions after the restart. And Eric Cattell once again leads the field. From Matthew Bassett, from Corny. The top 3 right there for you. It would be the cherry on top if NLR could win this race. But let's see if that will happen. I don't think they'll be going high risk. Justin Arts will have to go high risk. He needs to overtake. Whoa! Zach Miles was not awake. Justin Arts was, but he couldn't go around the inside, so he's got to go around the outside. Whoa! A dive bomb there from Zeteni as he does everything in his power to gain 9th in the standings. He's overtaken Eruption. An incredible move there by the ART driver. Absolutely wild. Guti Blind having gained 2 positions already. He's on the move. Pablo Alcoba up to P10. We see some cars going side by side there in turn 4. It's Misi overtaking Pablo Alcoba, now up to 10th, despite his medium tires doing a brilliant job. However, all of these 5 cars have lost DRS to the group ahead already. That is bad news indeed for them, especially for Guti Blind, who tries to overtake Pablo Alcoba there to go up to 11th, but he can't do it just yet. 4.5 laps remaining. NLR is still the champion as we speak. No big disasters on this restart. We see Eruption going ahead of Noé Grosjean for 8th place. Shizou versus CPI in the standings as well. This is where it's happening. Both of them 3-second time penalty. That will gain another position for Guti as well then. 2 positions in fact. 3 maybe, because Pablo Alcoba has now got a time penalty too. But Guti still wants to get past. He wants to go up to the other cars. Is he going to go for it? He's going to go for it on the inside. A dive into turn 1. Can he take the position from Pablo? He can. Guti Blind up to P11. Another 3-second time penalty for another Shizou driver. Terrible news indeed for them. Justin Arts still in the sandwich. He can't do much as he's stuck on a long train of tow. A tow train, we can say. 3.5 laps to cover still. And then NLR can be crowned champions unless something major changes. Unless more chaos erupts. Zeteni is trying to defend his 7th place from Eruption, or Marcel Pabst, as he's actually called. In the Discord at least, we've seen his name like that in Steam as well. But he's reverted to his nickname. Noé Grosjean getting hounded by Misi. Misi's fresher medium tires already appear to be faster than those older softs ahead. So maybe he actually has made the right choice. DRS enabled right now. So the battles are heating up. Justin Arce is hounding Zach Miles. His tires are only 1 lap older, but that 1 lap was under safety car conditions, so the difference is pretty much 0. But he has to do it here. Mathieu de Jesus can't keep up. He will not be able to help his teammate out here. That's something we've seen throughout the entire race. Mathieu just doesn't have the pace that Zach Miles has. It is just what it is. Meanwhile, Eric Catan defending from Matthew Bassett. Can ABS end the season on a high, or can ATX end it on a high? They've had their struggles as well. They've had to serve many bans. Race bans and qualifying bans alike. So this could be their cherry on top. Corny though is still within a shot of the win as well. He started from pole. He can still retake that first place. All he has to do is overtake the 2 cars ahead. And he's getting very close to Matthew Bassett right there. Justin Arts trying to get closer to Zach Miles. The 3 cars into turn 1 in the top 3, nearly overtaking one another. And was that Mathieu de Jesus going for a move? I think he nearly was. Zeteni down to 8th now. Noé Grosjean has overtaken him. Eruption is getting very close as well. Corny then is going to go for a move potentially. No, he isn't. Zeteni trying to come back at Noé Grosjean. It's nearly 3 wide in turn 4. A bit of tapping going back and forth. And Zeteni retakes 7th place. He's been pretty invisible this race, but all of a sudden he emerged as a very fast racer on these softs. And I give him a lot of respect because he's been holding his team together by himself. He has been the team of ART throughout the final 2 races. Nobody else has showed up pretty much on the rest of the season as well. We've seen ART. We haven't seen ART a lot actually, I should say. So him being there in 7th place is a blessing for them, and they should respect him for that. Give him a lot of praise, I'd say. Corny then going for a move on Matthew Bassett. He's going to try and take 2nd place. We are now on the final lap of the season, of this game, of this championship. Oh, Matthew Bassett got it tapped, and there is Zach Miles trying to come through as well now. A good moment for Zach to attack, but he should be careful. He could throw it all away if he's too aggressive. Into turn 4, a bit of a tap there on Matthew's rear. Matthew going a bit wide, Zach Miles trying to get through. He shouldn't take too much risk, but he's gonna take it anyway, because this is Zach Miles and this is what he does best. Trying to go around the outside in turn 7. Can he make it stick in turn 8? There is Justin Ars on the inside. This is crucial for the WR drive to get past right now. Bits of front wing, I think, were flying off right there a bit further back. But for the time being, Zach Miles stays ahead. Justin Ars now in an epic sandwich, a very tight one as well. Mathieu de Jesus, Justin Ars, final chance to overtake, and it will not happen. So then, the race winner will be Eric Houtin, Matthew Bassett in 3rd, Corny in 2nd. But here are our champions. Behind one another, can Justin Ars take the position? It's close! 6 milliseconds between Justin and Zach. But Zach barely hangs on, and they are officially the champions of the season. Justin Ars threw all of it at them, but it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. Their lead at the midpoint of the season is no more. And NLR have done what they predicted they would do at the start of the season. Zach Miles himself said it in round 3 or 4. We will get them back. And they've made true on their promise. NLR, champion of the PC tier for Season 3 of the Competitive Speed Series. An incredible job by them. They might not have won the final race, but they have won the title, and that is what counts. With Eric Houtin as the race winner. Congratulations. Corny in 2nd from pole position. Despite everything, he'll be satisfied, and they'll clinch actually 3rd place in the standings. ATX will stay in 7th with this result. Or actually, no. I'll have to do the math. Actually, ABS might take 7th from ATX right here. LR though, confirmed champions. WR 2nd. Now I really need to look what P7 grants for Zeteni. Let me quickly grab the rulebook. The administrative rulebook. So I can figure out the points. 7th place. 14 points. Oh, wow. 14 points for Zeteni. He misses out on 9 for his team. But still, mad respect for the man. And I think Zeteni will be my driver of the day. Simply because of his moves in the final part of the race and holding it all together on his own. Wow, what a finale. What a finale. So, there we have it then. NLR champion. WR 2nd. Playing Ducks in 3rd. TTM will finish the season in 4th. I think Team Shizu has done it for P5. CPI stays in 6th. Or actually, Artifacts Racing might have overtaken them. And maybe ABS as well, because now I look at the standings a bit more closely. There were 3 teams in the fight for P6 and maybe even for P5. So we'll have to see that. I'm not going to do the math right now. I'm too tired, to be honest. Artemis misses out on 9th by 2 points. 2 points only. And all of those points, all of those 14 points have come from Zeteni. Now I would love to give you an interview. But we're 2 minutes away from sprint qualifying, and I'm certain that everybody would rather watch that. So if they hear me, the drivers, you could prepare a little speech in the Discord. I think that would be a great substitute for an interview. Because I myself would also really like to watch the sprint qualifying coming up right there. So that means that we can now officially draw a conclusion to the season. A conclusion to the F1 23 game, and a conclusion to my commentating in this game as well. Doesn't mean I'm gone. it will just mean I'll be back for another season in wherever it's going to be in the next game. It's been a great pleasure commentating here in CSS. I really do hope we'll get a fourth iteration of this series. It's been absolutely brilliant watching these teams go around. It's a whole different experience to an individual driver championship in the regular leagues. A team league is definitely quite epic to see. Once again, congratulations to NLR. Well done to all of the drivers. Also, thank you to the viewers for supporting the series throughout the season, supporting me throughout the season, sticking with my jinxes, my terrible Dutch accent, and all the likes. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating for you all. Also, a big thanks to the admin, Ace, for all his hard work. I know how tough it can be to organize anything, especially a league like this, with all of the stuff going on in the community. So a big round of applause for our admin here for doing this every single week, keeping all the socials up, making sure the streams are in order, making sure everything works correctly, and allowing me a chance to commentate in a brilliant league like this. Yeah, I would love to give an interview, but it's not going to happen. Time is definitely up. I'm going to conclude it here. Thank you once again for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you like. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And enjoy the upcoming race weekend in real life in Miami. Thank you so much. And a quick word before we finish this off from Ace. If he unmutes his mic, that is. Otherwise it will be hard to hear him. Ace, ready when you are. Oh. He doesn't really want to do a word in the stream. He wants to do it after the stream. So, see you next game very soon indeed. Until then, until we meet again, goodbye.